Hey, sports enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of Culture in Sports, where we believe culture is critical to long term success. We take the positive and the negative experiences from our guests with the intent to create a better sports culture for the future generations. All right, and welcome, Wesley.
And Mike.
And we're excited to bring you another season of exciting guests with great content for our viewers. And today's no different with our guest today coming out of the Pac-12 at USC and eventually traveling across the US and Europe playing soccer at the highest level. Welcome, Samantha Johnson. Samantha, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you. And we're just like we're interested to talk to you because I mean you have so many different perspectives on things. From being involved in mentors to becoming one yourself. But I mean, we really want to start at the beginning and kind of find out where you began in soccer and how you started in the first place.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time now because I'm about to turn 31 in June. So I've been playing since I was 5.
Oh wow, yeah.
Um, I know, so it's been a while. It's been a while, but no, most of my, I guess, youth career, as you kind of know, probably was in Southern California, where I grew up, and I'm from Palmdale, California, originally. I think the most of my foundation in terms of like people who influenced me and stuff actually came from my earlier, like before my competitive days of playing, because when I was like 10, 11, 12, I played for a guy named Charles Gordon, and he pretty much kind of helped me set like the foundation of my technical and tactical abilities, but he did it in a way that I thought was very, demanding, not demeaning, but demanding,
Yeah.
for such a young age. But obviously, it was completely necessary, like, because clearly it provided me with so much more as I took it to the next level. So he was pretty influential from a foundation standpoint. Yeah,
And
100%.
how did you end up meeting him as a coach? Was it maybe a friend or something like that that introduced you to soccer and you were
Um, you know what? Gosh, I don't really remember how we got connected because I was playing for like a bunch of local clubs, like, as you can imagine when you're small, you just kind of play
yeah.
locally. And then I got onto his team, and his team is the last team I played for before I switched to a more like highly competitive league and team, right? Before I started
Right.
traveling
So
far for
that's when
soccer.
you start going from your one season to you're playing full year round, training all year.
Yeah, you like really like you know how it is, like strict club soccer type of vibe, you
Yes.
know what I'm saying? It just went from like kind of like the local whatever to oh, this is the real
Yep,
deal,
goodbye
you know?
summers.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
I
much.
remember the
Yeah.
days. Absolutely, absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and you are in Palm. You were born in Palmdale. I'm guessing was USC
Yeah.
always a top school that you've always wanted to go to. You're right down the street. Uh,
No, no, because well, my family liked USC, like me and my dad, because we liked like the football team and
yeah,
stuff. It's just like from a branding and
yeah,
entertainment standpoint,
absolutely. So
honestly.
yeah.
Obviously, because like back in the day, they were so good, right?
Yeah.
So that brand was popular in my house, but I didn't actually ever think of myself going there because when I was coming up, the powerhouse school for soccer was UCLA, so I wanted to play there
Rivals.
because they had like a yeah, they had a really really good women's program. Honestly, I didn't even know USC had a girls soccer program until
What
they
did your
told me.
folks think about that? Or your family?
I mean, they understood, I guess. They didn't because we're not like, oh, we're diehard USC. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that. We just kind of like to watch the games. Do you know
I
what
bet
I'm
they were
saying?
pretty stoked that you got to USC. I mean, that's amazing.
I think they were just stoked they didn't have to play for college.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
honestly, if you
So,
think about it, like such a small
yeah.
percentage of any athlete makes it to like JUCO, and then you have 4 year after that. I mean, it's crazy. It's such a small percentage. Um,
Did you
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
on a full scholarship?
Yeah, full
wow,
scholarship. And I committed when I was in 10th grade, so I was just cruise control
that's
from there.
nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't get to do
Did
that.
you have that breakthrough?
Yeah.
Did you ever have that breakthrough point where you realized to yourself, you're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and I want to see how far I can take this.
Um You know what? I don't remember like a moment or anything, but I do remember like a time when I turned 14. So when I left Charles Gordon's team, like 13, 14-ish, and I went to go play for Real SoCal, which is now I think like the whole LAFC collaboration and stuff. But it was a really good club back in the day, and they produced a lot of players on the girls and boys side, and everyone pretty much on my team went D1, you know?
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like it was really, really intense, or, you know, the jump was intense because everybody was good versus, like, I was the really good one on my local team, obviously, but then now I jumped to a team where
Right.
everybody's good. So now it's like, how can you obviously fight for marginal
Other
gains on
players,
a
yeah.
daily basis to try to get better, you know? So it was quite
Yeah.
intense.
Did you find that your coach was similar to your last coach, where he was kind of it was like a tough love kind of thing? 'Cause, I mean, it's every coach is
Um
different, but I mean, I feel like everybody has that coach where it's like, it was just tough enough love to get you to that next level, you know?
Yeah, you know, it was pretty much kind of the same. Definitely. I went from playing from a man to a woman, and it really didn't seem any different, to be honest. Like, other than obviously we could probably tell her about our periods
Yeah, different things. Yeah,
versus, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But like from like a gender standpoint and what she did and how she, you know, demanded certain things from us, like it was exactly the same. Like, honestly, you should just man, woman, or whatever, you can close your eyes and be like, "Gosh, like, we're really getting
The
our
same
asses
kind of
kicked here."
treatment.
well,
You know what
I
I'm
feel
saying?
like
Like,
that's when you have a good coach when you can't determine between the two, and you're like,
yeah.
wow, like that's incredible. Like they both have
Yeah.
great points to make, great team building
Mhm.
activities that they
Mhm.
use, things like that.
Yeah, mixing in like
Yeah, definitely. No, it was very good now that you know, when you look back, when you're going through it, you're like, this is really hard.
Yeah.
But like we loved it, you know, so we didn't care. We loved our coaches. So thankfully, like we weren't holding anything against them. We just understood like if we wanted to, you know, get a scholarship or do whatever our goals were, we had to just struggle through the process, you know?
even at that level, was the kind of did you have like a good camaraderie with other players, knowing that it was at a more advanced and you guys are really kind of
Competing
like
for each
competing
other's
for each other's
jobs.
positions and
Yeah. You know what we did actually, because we had on every team that I kind of remember, we did have a kind of like a strong culture of like team bonding and stuff. And I think that's kind of like more, not that it's less popular when you get older. Well, to be fair, it is less popular at the pro level because it's our job, you know.
Right.
But like when you're growing up, I think the coaches that I had, they did a good job of trying to like put an emphasis on getting to know your teammate outside of training and stuff, you know. And when I played for Real SoCal, like we were all from different parts of Southern California, like quite far. Like it wasn't like we were all hanging out, or we could just, you know, call each other up and hang out if we wanted to because we lived far from one another.
Yeah,
So
that makes
when we had to schedule the stuff to like make the effort to go do the team bonding, and it really did pay off, honestly. Yeah.
we had a couple of other guests. We kind of talked about a similar instance. I feel like every team that we did really well on, everybody was really together. Like it wasn't like, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like everybody was. It was like everybody had. There was at least a moment that brought everybody together on the team, and I feel like that's super
Yeah.
important to like kind of grow and like and move to the next level, even though you're not kind of on the same page where you're still competing for everybody, but in the back of your mind it's still a team effort, so it's like, yeah, you want to compete, but you gotta kind of do your thing at the same time.
No, I know. It's an interesting balance of the dynamic because I'm telling you, some of my teammates, me included, we used to cuss each other out on the field, and our coach would just laugh, you know,
Yeah,
and she'd just be like, because she knew like we loved each other, but we just really wanted to win.
yeah,
You know
sometimes you just
what
gotta
I'm
let it
saying?
out and
So it was quite
Wesley's
strange,
been
but
there
it
many a
went.
times where me and our shortstop have gotten into fights in center field after
oh yeah,
turning a
Oh
double
God.
play or something like that. Mostly it's only during practice and stuff most of the time, but
yeah.
but it
Yeah,
also keeps you super competitive at the same time. So
yeah, it's necessary, I think.
absolutely, absolutely. Who do you think your biggest supporter was while you were in college?
Maybe
Um,
the coach.
I mean, define supporter. You know, there's
I mean, it
levels
could
to
be, I
that.
mean, not even so much a coach, but I mean, it could be a parent, like a sibling, just somebody that was there for you all the time.
Yeah. You know what? It's hard because I'm the type of person that I seek out support, like, kind of depending on the category I'm struggling with, you know? So I try to have, like, a balance of support. So because obviously, as you know, like, you could have comfort level with the one person, you know, maybe, like, you're just more comfortable with them or at the time they're more available. But, I try to, like, pick on people's strengths, if you will, and, like, pair it with my weakness. So my of course, my parents, you know, I lean on them differently for different things, and my siblings are always there, but it's kind of like a unit thing. Do you know what I'm
That's
saying? For
probably
me
the
personally.
best answer you could give because you just blew my next two questions out of the, out of the water. So, that was awesome. No, I was, yeah,
The whole "it
absolutely.
takes a village" thing. Like,
Yeah, I was
take
gonna say, did you have
Yeah,
a
you know what I
variety
mean?
of
Because you
different
know how it
mentors?
is.
there's
Like
certain people.
one person can't handle everybody's
Yeah, there's
shit.
certain
You know what
people
I
you don't want
mean?
advice
So
about certain things about. You're like,
Right. Well, and
yeah.
that was another
So
thing. It's just like, a lot of people they look towards maybe one mentor and like listening to you and listening to where
yeah,
you've gotten, it's very important to look at your weaknesses, find the mentors for those weaknesses, and then move on from there. Otherwise,
yeah.
that person, the first mentor you talk to might not be the right person to talk to you about.
I know. And trust me, it's hard to do, and when I was that age, I wasn't really like very like not talkative, but you know what I mean. You don't want to like go and seek people's help because like when you're
It's
18
weird.
to 21, it's
yeah, it's
weird, you
weird.
know what I'm saying? And so my
You feel like you leave
coaches
people to judge you.
when yeah, they're like, you don't want to be a burden and you don't want to seem like weak and stuff. Do you know what I
So
mean?
how
Because
did
like
you
I'm
do
supposed
it?
to
Because
be.
that's exactly, it's extremely tough to do.
Yeah, it kinda just got pulled out of me, to be honest, like, whether, like, my parents or her sibling, and one of my siblings, my sister, like, she lived with me for a couple years at, USC in one of my apartments when she was going to Northridge, so she was kinda always there, so that made it helpful,
Yeah.
obviously, but then my coaches, the coaches see you the most, you know what I'm saying? So they know when something's wrong, they ask you what's wrong, and I hate when people ask me what's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because something actually is wrong, I just don't wanna talk about it,
Yeah,
so they would just pull it out of me most of the
yeah.
time and then just tell me, like, if they're not the people to help, go find the people to help type of thing, so they kind of just pulled my problems out of me, and
So
then
you're
if I wanted to use them, I did, but if most of the time I didn't, I just went to go find somebody
So that's
else.
awesome. Mentors helped you find mentors as well. That's cool, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing to think about. Because I mean, we'll get into it a little bit later about your what you're doing now, but I feel like that's a big part of what you're doing now, which is
Yeah.
super cool. So with your teammates, do you have any fun stories? I mean, I know you guys have probably had some rough games. Uh,
Oh my
and
gosh,
and
yeah.
I know that the bus rides home and things like that aren't always the best, but
But
you
sometimes
gotta.
they could be the best at the
Mhm.
same
Well,
time.
they
Like,
could be usually on the wins though. The
Yeah, when
losses
you're
are kind of
winning
rough
it, the
if your
bus
coach
ride's
even
better.
allows you to talk
yeah,
on the way back.
Oh my god, plenty of those times as well. Definitely in my college because we weren't very good. We were very just kind of like a 500 team when I got there or whatever. So kind of on the rebuild of the program,
Yeah,
right? And I'm telling you, we would lose some games that we just were not supposed to lose. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And you know how the coaches react to that. You literally are not even allowed to breathe on the bus, you know? And like God forbid somebody cracks a
oh
joke,
yeah,
you know what I'm
it's a
saying?
wrap.
and you guys
And so
already run
it's
a lot. Our punishment as baseball guys was running. You guys already do that a lot, so
oh
it's like
gosh.
We used
I don't
we used to look across the
honestly,
field
when
every
I
time.
was in college, I genuinely thought that when you're in college, your shirt says like your sport
yeah,
on it. I legitimately thought mine should have said track because all we did was run on the damn track. I'm like, I swear we're missing the soccer ball.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm
We had
saying?
a famous
It
quote
was brutal.
from one of our coaches: "Get your tennies on."
Yeah,
God, that was the
Oh,
worst thing to hear. You're just like,
get ready to
honestly,
start
the
running.
smell of the track, like if I walk by a track still, I would probably throw up because it's just like
Make
I'm
all types of memories.
traumatized.
God, God, all different
Yeah.
times of the day. It's not good. It's not good.
Oh my gosh, it just wasn't okay, you know what I'm saying? College sports is
It
brutal.
is, but you know what? It made you mentally tough. I think it makes you mentally tough. Like,
That is without a doubt. Oh
yeah,
my gosh, I'm like literally superwoman now. I'm
right,
like laughing at things, you know?
right. And I think that's one of those things that like having a good culture in your sport and your team, like that helps you so much. Kind of just bring that out.
Yeah, it does. And you know how it is because obviously we're team sport people. So when you have to suffer together, it's better. Do you
Yes.
know what I'm
Oh yeah,
saying?
yeah. Everybody suffers those things,
Yeah. So it's like you got to go through it with your teammates. Everyone understands what you're going through,
And I think
to
that's
some
the
degree,
biggest thing.
obviously.
Everybody they
Yeah,
understand. Just like in a lot of other things, when people understand what you're going through, it's just that much better to have it. That person,
it
whether it be a
is.
mentor or a family member or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100% for sure.
I kind of want to talk about your transition from college into your professional career.
Oh dear. What a transition that was.
Not a lot of people get to
Okay.
experience that, being a professional athlete. But what?
Right. No, once you kind of get in there and get your groove, it's fine. But that transition, because mine obviously was a bit unconventional, because I graduated from USC in 2013 in May, and then well, let me back up a little because I played my last game because we're obviously a fall sport. So I played
Yeah.
my last game in 2012, like fall 2012, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to play soccer anymore because I just like did not like it when I was in school. It was traumatizing. I was like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the end of a cell wasn't even like a thing. You know what I mean? It kind of just popped up in spring. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was very last minute. It was strange. So I was like, "I don't wanna do it." I was already in that brain mind frame. I hate soccer, whatever, So I'm
Over
like,
it.
"I'm just gonna
Yeah.
finish college and move on." And then my, dad and we talked about it, and he's like, "Well, you might as well just go, like, try out for some teams or whatever." And I was like, in my brain, I was like, "I really don't want to, but whatever. We'll do it?" So I did go to I can't remember which one was first, but I was supposed to go to New Jersey and New York, obviously, because 'cause they're just right there. So I was like, "I'll do 2 for 1, basically, 1 trip." And I'm not even being funny, in the first, like, because we just do most of the tryouts, it's just, like, run a play, you just do, like, a 11v11. So, in the first 30 seconds of 11v11, I tore a ligament in my ankle, and, like, it was the size of a softball.
Oh my
And I just thought, "This is
Why I
exactly
didn't want
what I'm not supposed to be doing."
God. Yeah,
You
that
know
was
what I'm
it.
saying? I was like, I knew it, I'm not supposed to be playing this wretched ass sport ever again. And so, obviously, time flies by. I, quote unquote, retire from the sport or whatever. I'm just not gonna play because obviously, like, I don't really want to. I become a bottle service girl. I start popping bottles in Los
Mhm.
Angeles, living my best life, age
to. Yeah.
21. I'm a fitness model. You know how it is when
Making
you live
good
in
money
LA,
over
you
there.
know?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm like, "This is the
Absolutely.
dream." Not really, but
No,
you know what I'm
at that
saying.
time, though, at
And
21,
so
22, that is the dream, that's what
yeah,
you're
I
doing.
was like,
Yeah.
This is great."
Absolutely.
Like, I don't really work. I work, the nights and whatever. I can go to my casting calls during the day. I'm just, like, chilling.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you always have that one friend that talks you into doing something
Yeah.
stupid, you know? So, my friend who ironically, my best friend at the time, she went to UCLA. She was on Chicago Red Stars, and she calls me, like, spring 2014, 1 year after the NWSL starts, and was like, "Sam, do you wanna come play soccer?" I was like, "Absolutely not." And she was like, "Well, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Living my best life," you know? And she's like, "Oh, well, I don't have any friends on the team. Can you try out?" I was like, "You're joking, right?" She was like, "No, seriously, like, I'm lonely and, like, you will be good. We need players." And I was like, "Ew." So I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it," like, whatever. After 1 year of not playing soccer, not thinking about soccer ball, nothing. I just trained for 6 weeks and showed up, made the team, accidentally ended up in starting 11 and never left
Nice.
starting 11.
Nice.
Wow.
And, here we are, almost 10 years later.
So I got a question for you. I know I read something about one of your agents. Um, and I was wondering,
Which one?
did you start right away with an agent?
No, 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 I
And
did
how did
not.
that relationship begin?
Well, the first agent I have, I can't remember how I got connected with him, just a friend of a friend, usually how it worked, but I mean, he was fine. He just helped me with, like, get my contracts and stuff, like, just make sure like, the fine print and stuff was
Yeah.
sorted,
So
but
not so much
back
a
then we had
mentor,
standard
not so much
contracts.
a mentor, more like a
No.
guy, like somewhat of a guide.
Yeah, he was honestly just more of, like, my friend over time because he's, like, just a good dude just looking out for
Yeah.
me, you know what I'm saying? And he's obviously agent, lawyer, whatever. So he was totally fine, but then I just personally got to the point where I was like, "Well, I don't need an agent because 'cause I'm very, like, vocal and aggressive and,
You
like,
do it
I
yourself,
cut the
yeah.
Yeah.
middleman type of woman, do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm like, "Just talk directly to
Yeah.
me," you know? And so I was like, "Well, I mean, I don't really feel the need to have an agent, to be honest," you know? So I went most of the bulk of my career without one.
I think that's probably I feel like that's mostly the best way to go if you can do it,
Yeah,
if
if
you
you
could
can
swing it.
do it.
Because
If you have the personality and you,
some
pay
people,
attention, do you know what
some
I'm
people
saying?
can't
You
talk to.
can, but, like, most players, they don't wanna do it because they have to have a certain personality, you have to be extremely, like, not detail oriented, but you just gotta pay
Yeah.
attention, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you just have to understand and you gotta be a little nosy, you gotta know what people make, you gotta know what other people don't make, so you know your true value versus you asking for some crazy money versus you underselling
And that's one of
yourself,
the
do you know what
hardest
I'm
things to
saying?
do in general. I mean, because you don't know, you just don't know at that point. So it's
Yeah,
like you have
yeah,
to do
and
some
our
research.
on our side of the game, they don't post our salary, so it's not like I can Google anybody's salary that's pretty much a man or, anybody in
Yeah.
tennis that's man or woman,
Yeah.
but, like, our salaries are like a secret, so you gotta, like, really dig, try and figure out who's getting paid in your
Do you think
position,
they
you
do
know?
that on purpose for that reason?
Yeah, because they don't want to tell anybody how much money we don't make,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
But you can see it in the
So,
facilities, can't you? Like when you walk into like a Chicago or Utah facility, can you tell the difference between the men's team and the women's team? Like,
mm.
or do they do a good job at
Well, we
making
didn't
sure that
well, okay, so in
you have like
Chicago,
a good
yeah,
show?
we didn't have like a proper facility in Chicago in the earlier days because we before we moved to I don't know what that stadium's called now, but it used to be Toyota Park where the Fire play. But
Okay.
yeah, so we before we moved there, we were just in some crappy little place, you
Yeah,
know? And so agreed, it is very just like obvious as to like how much money you probably don't make or whatever, whatever. But then I mean, really, how are people supposed to know? I'm just like, just post the salaries.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
yeah,
I think the league is more embarrassed than the players are. I'm like, I don't care. I'll tell everybody how much money I made every single year. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, and I think other players should know too. So then their agents and everything can have a reference point of negotiating. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
I think I
Because
watched one of your interviews. You said you got a check after like 700-800 bucks after a month, and you were just like,
Yeah, my very first year in the league, I played for almost $800 a
wow,
month. Yeah. And then the league, or I guess the league felt bad and it was like, okay, we can't be paying this girl like that
yeah,
little.
yeah,
That's like
she's
crazy, you
starting.
know?
yeah,
This
yeah.
is damn
You're
near
not
She's
illegal.
you're
starting.
not
We
just on
gotta
the bench. You're
we want to keep
It was
starting.
so
It's
awkward
like
because they were like, "Oh
yeah.
my gosh, she's actually like, she's actually on the team,
Right.
so maybe, you know." But yeah,
So did you fight to get more at that point, or were you kind of just like still not knowing as like kind of what's
no,
going
no, no,
on?
no. I didn't really argue or like moan about my salary or trying to get more until like the third or fourth year I was in Chicago. They like up your salary each year,
Okay.
but I mean, it's not like it's like I guess when you're making $800 to go from $800 a month to $1,500 seems like a lot,
Yeah.
but it ain't. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Absolutely.
But like, so that seems like a lot. So they doubled it pretty much each year, but then I pretty much plateaued like around year 4 and 5 because I only played for like um I think the last contract I was gonna play for when I was at the Royals was gonna be 23,000, but we only got paid during the year, whereas now the girls get paid 12 months.
Okay. So
Yeah,
do
and
they
the minimum
split that
salary
up?
now is different.
So they
So,
yeah split that up
hmm?
between 12 months. So it's kind of like a teacher's pay almost, where you get paid while you used to get paid while you play, and
Get paid while you play, yeah. So then that's why a lot of us we would go to like Australia was a good league for us because it would fit like right into our off season, which October to February, and then we
okay.
would show up, you know,
How
we get like a couple weeks off, and then we show up in March and be ready for
how many
preseason.
games are roughly how many games are in a season?
24 usually.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's quite a bit of games because you
Usually,
play
yeah.
how many games a week? Is it just one a week? Or one or two?
Uh,
Two would be two.
so
That'd be two.
no, cause so I think after a couple years when I was playing the NBSL, like they put some type of rule in where you had to rest like, 5 days or something because it was getting a little ridiculous where we had like a lot of midweek games. And of course, you can't travel from Portland to Florida. Do you know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
right,
that's
right,
just
right. Yeah,
ridiculous. You know what I mean? So they had to work out the schedule so it was a bit more player friendly because we were like, dude, this is reckless. Like, America is huge. I don't know if you guys
yeah,
seen it on the map, but you know what I mean? Like, who's making the schedule?
yeah.
So I think they've worked it out better now. And I think actually the girls they played less games this year for that reason, anyways, because it was just a little bit ridiculous. Like we used to play the same team like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, I'm tired of playing
Yeah,
y'all. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
do you,
But
do
yeah,
you think they were better about it when you played in Europe, when you played in Australia, and I know you play for France right now. I believe
well, I was in
you're in
France.
France.
Yeah, on the earlier side of on the first part of the European League. Yeah, but France was okay. I mean, it wasn't there long because my team was ghetto and I had to leave
I was
them.
gonna say, what was the
But
culture like on your, I guess the France. So what? So France was early on. You said, yeah.
yeah, I went to France. So I went to France in the window. So actually, like, so 2020, um, I went back to Australia to play,
Okay.
and then I pretty much spent like the bulk of my time from because of COVID. Obviously, like the league got pushed back. It's usually October to February, but then it went from December to like April ish.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm definitely not trying to go back to play in the NWSL. Like, I want to go the European route. So I was like, I'll just stay, and then in Australia. and then I'll go in the July window. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's what I did. So I went to France in end of July, and then stayed there until like mid September. But I only played one game there, and it was only against PSG. And so, because my team was just so ghetto, man. Like, you don't even understand, like typical women's football BS. Like, they didn't put my paperwork in on time.
Oh
Like,
man.
they didn't. It just was like, what? You know what I'm saying? It was just like things like that. Like, they wasn't paying the proper salary, and they wasn't paying it on time. And I was like, oh no, like y'all are.
Trying to
It's
get a
time
I'm
to
too
it's time to
old for
switch
trying to get
this,
a
leagues.
man.
bag.
Yeah, switch
Yeah.
leagues.
I'm just way too old for this. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, nah, absolutely not. So I had to go through the whole process. But I mean, honestly, the soccer side of it was fine. Truthfully, I was like, I thought I was gonna really enjoy it. To be honest, like the training was fine. I mean, my team was fine. French people are interesting. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Do you
whatever, I enjoyed
do you
it.
see a difference in like coaching strategies, or
Oh
is it
yeah,
whatever?
100%. America is so like this. There's a couple of coaches in the NWSL that obviously aren't American, so they have that European style, the tactical based type of thing. But man, they just are so switched on in terms of like what they're trying to do tactically over what they're trying to do physically. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
instead of all the
Because America
Yeah,
is so like run and gun,
yeah,
exactly.
that makes
and
sense.
like it's like kind of shocking because I'm like, but I can tell, I can see why. Because I mean, in our system when we grow up, like it's not like little girls are watching EPL on the weekend. Like I was the weirdo doing that. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it's like my tactical whatever was just like ahead of others, just because I was oddly obsessed with soccer. You know what I'm
yeah.
And
saying?
now you can really
So
see
I
it in
would just watch
basketball.
games.
Which is one of those things
Yeah.
you kind of need to have to make it to a high level. You got to kind of be obsessed with it in a way. Miss your summers, miss certain things. But you
Yeah.
know what? The friends that you make, like doing that, the things that you learn, and like what you're able to do afterwards, after kind of you know being hit with so much different diversity and just issues that always happen on and off the field. I mean, it just
Oh
teaches you so
yeah.
much. I feel like, and kind of puts your life in perspective.
Oh, it
You know,
does. It really does, yeah, and I don't know if you guys have this in baseball, but, like, obviously, I wouldn't know the people mostly, like, now, my most recent and every team I've had in, like, as a professional, I would never, ever, honestly, probably be friends with these people in real life because I wouldn't have opportunity to meet them. Do you know what
yeah,
I'm saying? But, we're all in the room just because we can do this one thing really well,
Right.
which is
all from
odd.
different
You know what I'm
areas.
saying?
You know,
Yeah, it is so weird. And honestly, I probably have met like a handful of people that I'd actually be friends with genuinely if I didn't play soccer because, we just vibe, but like mostly you're not because you just like it's not likely that you meet people that you actually like would know and truly, be friends
Love to
with
play.
without the
yeah.
game. You know what I'm
And
saying?
being close with teams actually will bring you into doing different things. Like I know, like for our team, like some of our guys were into other things. Like, oh well, we do this on this, like sometimes. So you go out and do different things, experience other stuff, and you're like, hey, I didn't think we could be friends, but we're kind of
Right,
nothing I would have
right,
normally
exactly.
tried without knowing somebody that did it. So kind of makes it.
Mhm. Exactly. It's quite strange,
Yeah,
It's very strange.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So for let's get into some of the stuff that you're doing now. I'm really interested. We kind of pulled up your website a little bit earlier, uh,
Mhm.
and it ties into exactly what we're doing because it's kind of I feel like a huge thing in mentoring and helping. Um, it's
Mhm.
called Better. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you started that?
Yeah, you know what? It was just something that the better and the whole like be better thing is actually just like what I used to tell myself when I was younger because I didn't have time to basically blame other people if I was bad at soccer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like I would always like if I didn't get selected for like a team or like I wasn't in the lineup or just like whatever adversity, I would literally just tell myself like, well, if you were just better at soccer, then maybe you would have different opportunities. Like it literally was just that, just so I could have
With
more of an
yourself.
Yeah,
I
accountable
that's
like it.
mind
that's a self pity
instead of
route, I
blame
think.
like
Yeah,
other things. Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it was just that. And then so obviously as I go older, it started working for me. So then in our contract, back in the day, we used to have these like hours. We'd have to do like some type of community hours or, whatever, giving back. So they would just send us to like little soccer clubs and just go speak to the girls teams and whatever.
Nice.
And like I thought it was kind of cool,
Oh yeah.
whatever. And so I would just give this little be better speech, do you know what I'm saying? Like just to help the kids develop some type of accountable mindset, you know what I mean? Cuz my whole point was like if you just pay attention to you and your process, then it'll the pretty much the chips will fall, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so it kind of snowballed, and then I made like a wristband because I was like, "Oh, I show up to see all these kids all the time. I don't have nothing to give them." So then I just started giving them wristbands. And then I started 'cause my family like context wise is like, pretty heavy into in education in terms of like we all kind of are educated people in our family, and my mom and sister are teachers, and my mom just retired, but
Oh,
like
nice.
they're in that space, so I kind of have a little glimpse of that. But I started kind of thinking like, oh, like I think I kind of want to be in this space, but I just at a different realm, so I pretty much morphed it into some type of education enhancement via like mentorship, if you will. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what it is. So I went back to school. I don't even understand why I did that. I guess I had so much time outside
Difficult
of
thing to
soccer.
do. Difficult thing to do.
I know, I
Congratulations.
might
That's
as
awesome.
well. You can only train 2 hours a day, so I might as well go back to school. So I got my master's degree in curriculum and instruction, so I write programs pretty much. So I have
Okay.
a little program
That's
that I'm
awesome.
trying to get into schools and stuff.
And how's that been so far? Have you been able to connect with any good people on that? I know through culture and sports, I'm sure something that they'd be looking at as well, because I mean it's cool to
Mhm.
get that kind of stuff in, and it's important. It's definitely important.
Yeah, yeah, and I work my desires to work with kids are more of like alternative learning setup. So like the ones that come and go from like the juvenile justice system, and then the ones that kind of are categorized as maybe like a behaviorally challenged type
Mhm.
of kid. So it's very specific, and my program's designed towards that demographic. But honestly, it's just about basically just using my, platform, honestly, but, like, I've you pretty much leveraged my playing career into my business because I just use it as a networking opportunity, to be honest. Because let me tell you, the amount of phone calls that probably people return just because I'm a professional athlete is a little bit ridiculous, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know
That percentage goes up a little bit more when you're getting a
A little bit more.
yeah.
They're like, "Oh my gosh, my niece plays soccer." I'm like, "Great. Anyways, about these programs."
I can't get anybody else for
Yeah,
that cost.
it definitely helps. You put in the work to get there, and I mean, and then you have exactly, the chips fall where they fall, just like you said. So I
Yeah,
mean,
so we'll
it's
see.
yeah, and that's pretty incredible that you're able to kind of just start touching people's lives like that. And I think I think that hopefully that'll be a big thing here eventually.
Mhm. Yeah, I think potentially it could be a big thing for sure. And so thankfully I'm not so ignorant to the point where I'm like, "Oh, I'm just going to drop something in here." Like, I have put in the time and effort to speak to the professionals, the people who are work on the ground every day with the kids and blase blase. So I'm just really good at connecting like dots, and figuring out gaps and just trying to fill the gaps. So basically that's what my program does, just fill a gap.
Nice. Well, that's what so many
That's
people have
awesome.
trouble doing. So I mean,
Mm.
and that's
Mhm.
I struggled with that, all through my life, because I was kind of out front like on some things, but it's just like some things you just don't know, and it's hard to reach out, talk to
Yeah.
people, to talk to the right people. I was one of those people I was telling you about was if you focus on one or two mentors when you should be having mentors in different.
Yeah, you just need to be balanced, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? The best thing in life is balance.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, Samantha, we don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're out there, and you're in Arizona right now. You said,
Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, visiting my dad. Yes. And my people, I don't live in Palmdale anymore, thank God. If you looked up Palmdale, you'd know why I don't live there. But
I have my brother-in-law's from Palmdale.
oh Lord, help us all. We made it,
we
okay?
made it
Let me
out.
just say
We
that.
made
We
it
made
out.
it out up the 14 freeway. Thank
Yeah, we're
you.
just down the
Oh
street.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
We're just down the street in
San
San
Diego. We're
Diego,
getting close,
Carlsbad area. So
but that's
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's
yeah,
nice. That's a nice area though. I like San Diego. I need to get back on my roots, get back to my roots in SoCal.
yeah.
right,
Come on back.
I've
Come
been
on
in so
yeah,
long.
right.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you so much for your time. That's going to do it for culture and sports on this particular episode. But we really appreciate you coming on. I mean, that was awesome, and we look to follow up with you and see more of how better goes, and kind of just see how things go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, awesome. Thanks for having me. And obviously, if you want to talk about anything, I'm pretty open.
Yeah.
So pick a topic and let's do
Yeah,
Yeah,
it.
well, we'll have other topics, and I'm sure we'll bring you back
we definitely
for
will.
another one. Definitely.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay.
All right, thank you
All
so
right.
much. When I stop, it takes like
Yeah, we'll cut off the back of this. We're gonna stop
yeah.
it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like further information on a daily basis, visit our website, cultureandsports.com, and join our email list. Also, feel free to follow us at Culture and Sports on social media. We'll see you all next week on another episode of Culture and Sports.